Hi everyone, this is Sandy Crave the Heart, and today I'm going to be sharing a recipe book, really quick and easy little folio made using the ephemera that matches the Cooking with Love paper. We're using that as well, and the stamp set Bake Me Happy, I think it is. And I'm also going to be using this Scrapbook Diva die set. It actually, I believe, is an album to make an oven, like a oven mini book or whatever, but this also has a really great recipe die that I'm going to be using for my little recipe cards. So what you need to get started is you need 3 pieces of chipboard, 2 that measure 6.5 by 6.5 and 1 that measures 6.5 by 1 inch for your spine. Your what I used for my black paper to cover my chipboard is I took a 12 by 12 piece of paper, I cut it down to 7.5, so it was 7.5 inches tall by 12, and then the piece that's left measured 3.5 by 7.5, and then I attached that to the end of my paper. I'm also using this new to me, first time I've used it. It's called the Book Cover Guide by We Are Memory Keepers, and it's just a way to kind of help you do good measurements for covering your books. It helps you with mitering the corners. I also will show you in this video this other tool that I've been using for years. It's by colorwayarts.com, and it's a corner tool that helps you miter them. So what I'm doing right now is I'm actually using double-sided tape, score tape, to attach my chipboard to my cardstock, but you can use glue. I just like to use it because it dries quick, and I don't know, it's less mess for me to get everywhere. I'm using that little book guide to help me do, I think it's about 1/8 of an inch between my chipboard and my spine. So, you know, you could put 1/8 of an inch piece of tape there or just eyeball it, which is what I've done for years. But since I got this tool, I did want to give it a go, and I actually really like it. So I'm going to go ahead and lay down all of my chipboard. And then I'm going to use this corner piece, and I'm actually just, I mean, you can use a pen or a pencil. I'm actually just using this kind of embossing scoring tool thing that I have, just to kind of make a mark that I can see. And then I am just cutting along that mark to miter my corners. So when I fold my chipboard over, it is going to cover it exactly right. So I don't know, it's math. So it works. And so that's what I'm doing on all 4 corners, is I am using that little tool, but you also use that Colorway Arts tool. And I bought mine on Etsy years ago, and I've used it a million times. It is a fabulous little tool. But you can buy the book guide, or you just can eyeball it, because I've done that too. So what I like to do is I like to fold over my cardstock over onto my chipboard before I put my tape down, just so that it makes it easier to fold it over. And then I generally put, this is just my method, I put score tape on the very top edges all the way around of the chipboard, and then I go back and I put it on all of the cardstock at the very top edge. And that way the top edge of the cardstock, that, you know, has enough tape to hold it down, and then it holds it onto the chipboard from the bottom. And that's just the way I've done it for years, and it seems to hold really well. And again, you can use glue. I just prefer to use score tape when I make albums, because it's just less mess for me, because I have a small space and I tend to get glue everywhere. If you've watched my videos, you've seen me get glue myself. It's a thing. So once you've got all of your tape down, then, you know, you just kind of go all the way around, taking off your score tape or just doing your glue. You do one piece or side at a time. And you can see how nicely the corners are done using this tool. There is absolutely no raw chipboard whatsoever. And so I like it. It's I'm pretty happy with this little tool, and I'm definitely going to be, you know, using it for other projects for sure. And then what I like to do is I like to kind of bend, I like to bend my spine so that I know it's going to fold over nicely. And it takes a little bit of time, but eventually your spine does learn to stay folded that way. But I go ahead and I do that. And so now I want to go ahead and I'm going to cover the inside spine. And my inside spine paper measures 6 by 3. So this is a project in which you don't have any scrap really left. Everything is very evenly done, so there's not very much scrap. So I really like these kinds of projects. So the other side of that paper that measures 3 by 6, I'm going to use the opposite side to cover the outside of my spine. And it works really well because you don't need a lot. And so once that's down, then we can think about covering our front cover. And this is one of those projects that I designed to fit those large panels that you get. So I've done another video where I use the large panels to make a gift bag, and those are very large gift bags. You can fit a lot of things in there, and they're also quite sturdy. So I know that I think Jamie did it for her day 2, I want to say, day 3. She did it for her countdown video for this month, and she made gift bags using my tutorial using these full panels. But this is a really great way of using the full panel as well as using it for a mini album. And so I'm using that front, and then the back side of that is actually going to be the back side of the album. And then there is that middle piece, and that middle piece measures 3 by 6. If I didn't say before, the front and back paper is 6 by 6. There's no cutting that down at all. It fits perfectly on that front and that back. Okay, so now this piece for the inside, this is a piece of black cardstock that measures 8 by 6, and then I score on the 8-inch side at 2 inches, and I fold that over. So then I'm going to put score tape or glue on the back of this with that folded up panel, which then makes your paper 6 by 6 on the bottom, because that's going to be a start of my pockets. And so you need 2 of those, because 1 on each side. And so again, it measures 8 by 6, and then you score at 2 inches, and so then your paper then is 6 by 6, your cardstock. So I'm using score tape because, like I said, it's just easier for me. It does make an unholy mess. And so I have got the pockets that measure 2 by 6, and then you're going to cut your pattern paper 2 by 6, and you'll be able to get 3 pockets out of that one paper. And so what you then will do is just, if you want to have a little bit of a border, then you would cut your pattern paper like 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch, depending on how big of a border you want, on 2 sides, on the long side and the short side, and that will give you a tiny bit of a border. And so the bottom pocket, you just need to put glue on the sides, and then you just kind of eyeball what you want to do. So the middle pocket is going to get glue on 3 sides, and the top pocket is only going to get glue on the 2 short sides. The bottom is going to stay open because my recipe card needs room to be in that pocket. And so that is kind of how you do it. And so there's the recipe cards, and what I did was I just used that recipe die from Scrapbook Diva, and then I found some stamps that were small enough that I could spell out recipe, And so I just stamped recipe on 6 cards. And then I took my lightest pink and my lightest gray ink pads, and I stamped some images and some words. I think I did the bake with love, sugar, flour, and I don't know what else, a whisk and the tablespoon thingies, measuring spoons, onto those recipe cards. So they're very light. You can't, I mean, you can see them, you know, but they're very light. So you can easily write over those, and they're not gonna, you can easily write over them. So you can see I'm just kind of gluing. That actually is going to be my top pocket because I'm just gluing, and I might mess up here. One of the times I messed up and I had to pull it up, so be aware that might happen because I didn't like where it was placed. But the top pocket only has glue on the 2 short sides, and then the middle pocket's the one that has glue on 3 sides, just the top is open. And so you want to make sure that your bottom pocket, you can put something in it. You don't close that up by your gluing. And so it is almost done, and I really love this paper. It is so pretty, and I'm almost actually out of the paper, so I've got all of these ephemeras I'm gonna have to kind of play with. I have some ideas of what I want to do with the ephemera, and we'll see how it works out, because sometimes the best ideas, but I do have some ideas of what I want to do to make that little bits of paper I have left stretch so I can use up my ephemera. But I also have my stamp sets. So yeah, once you've got your pockets down, I mean, you could use eighth of an inch score tape, but I do like using glue here just because I need room to maneuver where I want things to go. And then you can put your recipe cards in the pockets. And now I'm kind of figuring out how I want to decorate, and I'm keeping it pretty simple because the paper is kind of so pretty and decorative anyway. But I did find a few kind of ephemera pieces that I want to put down here at the bottom for decoration. So I'm just going to glue those down. So I want to keep things flat, even though the 1-inch spine does give me plenty of room to put things, but I just did flat embellishments for this. Now the front, I thought about putting some ephemera on the front, but I just felt like the paper was just kind of doing its job. So I just decided just to use this recipes die that came with that Scrapbook Diva die. And it has a little shadow, so it's really great. And I did the shadow in black, and I did the recipes in red. And I figured that would be fine for decorating that. And so I'm gluing that down. And then I decided that I wanted to do a little bit of trim on the sides there, because I just thought they needed something. So I have some lace that I had bought forever ago in my stash. So I put lace here. You could do pom-pom trim. You could do a scalloped border there. I mean, you know, I just like to decorate my edges sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. And so I'm just putting score tape down, and then I'm just putting this bit of lace. And I decided to do the back as well. And I'm going to tie it off and give you guys a final look at the project. I think it came out really cute. It's really easy to make, and you know, instead of recipe cards, you could put little mats or tags, all kinds of other things in the little pockets. You could put gussets in the pockets. I left my pockets very flat, but you can make your pockets fit a little bit more, and there you go. Thank you so much for watching. This is Cindy Crane at the Heart.